Good afternoon, and thank you for streaming with us here on CBS News Chicago. I'm Brad Edwards. Big news on the assault weapons front in Illinois. On Monday, the state Senate approved a reworked statewide ban. Then today, moments ago, that reworking passed the House. Critical it did pass today. Today was the last day before current lawmakers leave office and newly elected ones are sworn in. One of those who supported the ban, Republican Minority Leader Jim Durkin. Mr. Durkin, we appreciate you joining us on the stream. It's not typical that a Republican takes a stance to vote against anything seen as infringing on the Second Amendment. You are a Republican. You voted on this ban. Why?
I'm a Republican, and I'm also a former prosecutor who's seen neighborhoods torn apart by street sweepers. Have been left with helping victims to overcome their grief by loss of their children and their loved ones through military-style weapons. It's not something that I forget. I don't forget what happened in Highland Park. It will still I can hear those popping noises, 83 rounds in 60 seconds. It's wrong. I've been criticized. There's been a lot of things said about me, but the fact is, when Henry Hyde in 1994, the conservative Republican from the west suburbs, said that there's no place for these weapons in commerce, they're not for hunting, they're not for personal protection, he voted for it. And I consider myself similar, his attitude very similar. But even more so, the AK-47 or the AR-15 manufacturer, the guy who invented it, said that these guns have no place other than the battlefield. So I just, I know everybody loves their guns. I get it. I respect it. But there are certain weapons that should not be in the stream of commerce that I don't want to see in the streets of Illinois. And I take the position that people can exercise their Second Amendment rights. But the thing is, we are within our bounds to make reasonable restrictions. It's up to somebody else to decide what is reasonable. But I feel that it's the right thing to do. I live in the west suburbs. It reflects my district. And we've got to do something. And I will just say this, that if this law was in place last year, a Highland Park shooter would not have been able to purchase that gun, nor the magazines that he used to take out 7 people on the streets of Highland Park. Destroyed lives that will never be the same again. So I'm comfortable. I'm also very confident with my vote.
Appreciated, Mr. Durkin, on that. The sentiments on Highland Park. So kind of in the weeds here, assault-style weapons will be banned. Long guns will be limited to 10 rounds a magazine. Those already owning guns on the assault weapons list would need to provide information to state police.
Sure. But they're grandfathered. Those guns are grandfathered. They're not illegal with law enforcement.
Correct.
But there are, I would say, reasonable restrictions. And registration is no different than someone keeping tab or collecting my prescription information over at the Walgreens. I mean, we do this with so many things in our commerce and also in our daily lives. But a weapon that can pump out 30 bullets in a matter of 3 or 4 seconds cannot be registered. It just doesn't make sense to me. So let's see how it goes. It obviously will be challenged in the courts, but we've got to start somewhere. It's not going to solve all the problems, but this is going to stop someone who has bad intentions like that Highland Park shooter and makes things more difficult for them, or they would force them to have to go underground or into the black market to find these guns. All the more reason that this is a good start.
Well said on that. For you now, after more than 20 years in the Illinois House, 9 as a minority leader, maybe one of the most well-known Republican faces in a very blue state, you're out. You are retiring. Why?
22 years, 9 as the leader. There comes a point in everybody's career that you know that it's time to leave. I'll be very frank. I'm not happy with the posture of the party and the direction it is going. I saw that over the past six years, starting with President Trump, but also what happened in our statewide races. I worked very hard. I did what I could, but the thing is, I have a very difficult time saying that I can support these extremists that have taken over and hijacked the party. I respect and I love the Republican Party, it was a party that we would be welcoming to all. But the fact is, if you're not 100% pure on Republican principles and platform, you're not worthy of serving in office. So I will say that I've done my best. Everybody has their time in which they know that they need to move on. So I've spent a lot of time away from my family, and a lot of time. And I've got grandchildren right now, and it's time for me to wave goodbye and knowing that I've done the best I can for the people of Illinois on so many levels on different issues.
What does a reckoning look like? You said the Republican Party needs a reckoning. You made a few references there with the past 6
Absolutely.
years. What's it look like?
Why don't they take a look and see what happened last November? And people will be critical of me, but the fact is, when I'm trying to win seats in the suburbs, and that's where we're competing, the suburbs and the Colorado counties, you can't do that when you have the head of the ticket advocating for the 51st state, severing Chicago from Illinois. We have a candidate that is intolerant towards any type of reasonable, exemptions to reproductive health care, and also one who is extremely rigid on Second Amendment issues. But what I've noticed over the past few years is that we have elected officials that seem to be not for anything, nothing at all. They just rather be no and just point blame at Chicago or the suburbs. If you're running for governor, you've got to be able to appeal to a large mass. And let's just go back and see the last time that we had Republicans who won statewide: Mark Kirk, Bruce Rauner, Judy Bartow-Pinka. Those are a few. They were moderate Republicans. And you know what? Until we get back to that mindset that we have to have people that can attract votes throughout the state and also the suburbs and the city of Chicago, we are never going to be able to regain the mansion nor make a difference in the chambers.
Interesting, provocative, and that is quite a statement to be made. Republican Minority Leader Jim Durkin, representing Lamont, Darien, Burr Ridge, many more that you know of, more than 20 years. We thank you for your service.
Thank you, Brett.
And thank you for joining us on the stream.
I'll see you for a cigar someday.
All right, we will, sir.
All right, thanks a lot.